Hi everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I've been off in two very different directions this week. First to Ireland to celebrate Halloween, and now today I'm headed to Mexico to celebrate the Day of the Dead, which follows Halloween on November 1st and 2nd. This is the season when departed loved ones get to come back and visit the living for just those 2 days. And so mostly people prepare the favorite foods of their loved ones, and they also gather big armloads of marigolds and use those to decorate altars that they build at home and in cemeteries for vigils. But there's one very special bread that's baked for the Day of the Dead called Pan de Muerto, or Pan de los Muertos, the bread of the dead. It is really fun to make, and it's delicious, and that's what we're going to do today. So come with me, and let's make it right now. Thank you. To start, you want to measure out your flour, 4 cups, that's 1 pound and 5 ounces, 1 cup of sugar. Now we're putting our 1/2 cup of evaporated milk in a work bowl. This is about a 5-quart bowl. Then 2 envelopes of active dry yeast, about a tablespoon or so of the sugar, and then you start working in some of the flour. So not more than 1 cup for this sponge that we're making. Yeah, just put a kitchen towel over it and put it aside in a sort of a warm place, but not too warm. Now we've got our eggs. That's 2 whole eggs plus 4 yolks. And for now you need 6 ounces of butter, 2 more later. Make sure it's right at room temperature so it's nice and soft. Our flavorings are vanilla extract, anise extract, and something orange. And so you can whisk that all up with the eggs. And the orange could be orange zest, pure orange oil, or orange flower or water for the most authentic flavor. So then work these ingredients, the butter, some of the sugar, and the salt. Work that into the sponge and start adding flour. So you're going to end up working in about 2/3 of the sugar altogether. Go ahead and stir in the egg mixture. And the flour, you're going to do about 3/4 of the flour. You're going to end up having like maybe 1 cup left or a little bit less when you get this together. So the first rise here is going to be after we just mix this all together. So you'll have a very rough dough. You could do some kneading now, but it's not really necessary. I like to let the yeast do the work as much as possible. So get that into a rough dough, then cover it again with the kitchen towel after you have, a little better than 3 cups of flour worked in there. Cover it with the towel, set it aside. This is the first rise. It'll take an hour, maybe even 2 hours. It depends on the temperature. The more slowly you do it, the better the flavor will be later. So that's the first rise. Then we need to now we need to actually do a little bit of kneading here. So scrape it out onto the dough onto a floured work surface and start the kneading. Flour your hands. It's not really a very sticky dough though, because it's rich. And so start the kneading process. You can see that I like to push forward. I'm left-handed, so I do it with my left hand. I like to push forward with my left hand, then fold it back. Hold it with the right hand, turn it, and push again. Forward, fold it over, turn, push, fold it over, turn. So keep working that until the dough starts to develop a little better. You can see the difference already. Add a little more flour whenever you need it. And then when you have a dough that's starting to get a little bit silky, then it's time for our second rise. So for this one, we're going to smear some butter, some of our remaining 2 ounces of butter on the surface. You can put it back in that same work bowl. This time, cover it closely with plastic wrap. And if you want to break up this process, and so that you'll have the very best flavor, you can do that second rise in the fridge overnight, but then give it a couple of hours in the morning to warm up before you start in again. So punch it down, scrape it out, and now handle it lightly, and it's time to portion it. So save about a quarter of it for decoration, and then divide the remaining dough into equal parts. So I'm just doing 2 big breads today. You could do 4 or 6, however you want to do it. So form those into rounds, put them on parchment, and flatten them out a little bit. Then for decoration, for each bread you're going to need 2 bones and 2 balls that look a little bit like skulls, I guess. And so use your fingers when you roll out the bones. Really use your fingers to shape them into little knobs and things so they look more bone-like. So that's your traditional decoration. Of course, you can decorate the dough any way you want to, but that's the traditional way. So when you have this all in place, of course you want to let this now proof. It won't 100% double in size, but it'll increase by about 50% or so, which is good for a rich dough like this. So just drape your plastic wrap over the finished breads, set them aside. There, the little balls go in the middle. Set it aside and let it proof. Preheat the oven to about 325, 350 if you're doing 6 small breads. You want to give them very carefully, brush them with a little bit of butter and a little bit of sugar. This is where you would put on some sesame seeds if you wanted to. They bake for 30 to 40 minutes depending on the size, and then you want to take them out, and here's where you brush on all the remaining melted butter and sprinkle on all the remaining sugar. So just let those cool. They're delicious with Mexican hot chocolate with coffee or tea. The recipe is at brucebeckinthekitchen.com. Please come visit. Love to see you. Thank you.